The basement door wasn't there yesterday. The knocking didn't sound like fists. It was more like fingertips, slow and deliberate, almost like whoever was down there didn't want to get out. They wanted to be let out. I've been urban exploring for a few years now. Abandoned malls, crumbling motels, overgrown hospitals. There's just something about forgotten places that pulls me in. They're like time capsules, spots the world moved on from left to rot. Last summer, I stumbled upon an old public high school about 30 minutes from my town. It had been boarded up since the early 2000s. Vandals in time had done their thing-shattered windows, peeling paint, rusted lockers. You get the picture. But this school felt different. It was too intact. No graffiti. No signs of squatters. It was like everyone just left. I went back 3 nights in a row. The first 2 nights, totally uneventful. I snapped photos, recorded some video for my channel, checked out the gym, the library, and a few classrooms still filled with desks in neat rows. I even found a rolled-up blueprint in the main office, a full floor plan of the school. That's how I knew something was off the 3rd night, because there was a door that wasn't there before. It was at the end of the west hallway past the science labs. A heavy metal door with a faded sign above it that read, "Basement access, staff only." I swear, it hadn't been there the other 2 nights. I would have noticed. I checked that hallway. I even took a picture from that exact angle. No door. Naturally, curiosity kicked in. I pulled out the blueprint I'd taken home and brought it with me again that night. I unfolded it right there in the hallway and traced the layout with my flashlight. No basement. The door wasn't on the blueprint. In fact, the section behind it was just solid foundation. That should have been enough for me to walk away. But you don't come across things like this every day. Something hidden, new. So I reached for the handle. Locked, rusted shut. No keyhole that I could see. Just a flat, cold metal plate where a knob should have been. I remember pressing my ear against it, half joking with myself that I'd hear something on the other side. But nope, just silence. Dead silence. Not even the creaking of the old building. Still, something felt off. Like the air in that hallway was heavier. Like I shouldn't be standing there. So I left. That night, around 12:30 a.m., I was going through my footage in bed when I heard a notification. Motion alert. I'd left one of my cheap GoPros running in the west hallway, pointing right at that door. I clicked open the feed. The door was still closed, but something was moving in the frame. Shadows flickering across the walls, even though there was no power in the building. No lights. And then I heard it. Tap dash tap dash tap. Quiet. Repetitive. Like fingernails on hollow metal. I turned the volume up. Tap. Tap. Then it stopped. And started again. Louder. More frantic. Tap dash tap dash tap dash tap. Then silence. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. The door never opened, but it didn't feel like it was done either. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I checked the GoPro. The file was corrupted. I swear it was working fine before that. Every other clip from earlier was intact, except the one that mattered. Typical horror movie stuff, right? I should have left it alone. Should have just deleted the footage and moved on. But I couldn't stop thinking about that door. Why it was suddenly there. Why it wasn't on the blueprint. And why, out of every hallway, that's where I decided to leave a camera. I went back that night. I brought bolt cutters, gloves, even a crowbar. Determined, or maybe just a bit reckless. The hallway was colder than usual, like stepping into a freezer. My breath fogged in front of me in August. The door looked the same, silent, unmoving. But as I got closer, I noticed something had changed. Scratches, dozens of them. Long, jagged claw marks all across the lower half of the door, like someone had been trying to dig their way out with bare hands. Or fingers. Some were fresh. I could tell by the flaking rust. I raised my crowbar, but before I could strike the frame, I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. The knocking was slow, rhythmic, and right there, on the other side of the metal, like someone was standing inches from me. I didn't move. Then it changed. The knocks turned into scrapes. Long, deliberate drags of what sounded like nails against steel. And then, a whisper. I swear, I'm not making this up. Right behind the door, I heard a voice say, "Please, let me out." It wasn't threatening. It wasn't angry. It sounded scared. Like a little kid. I ran. I haven't gone back since. But that door? It's not the end of the story. Because 2 nights ago, I got another motion alert from the GoPro. I'd forgotten it was still live. Still linked to my old phone. I didn't want to check it. I really didn't. But I did. And the feed was black. Not because it was off. Because something was blocking the camera. Something breathing. And then I heard the voice again. Only this time it said, "I found the way out." The camera cut out. And now, sometimes at night, I swear I hear knocking from beneath the floor. My voice echoed back, but I was alone. I called out just to hear my voice bounce off the hallway walls, but the reply I got wasn't my voice at all. I've been a photographer for about 6 years now, and one of my absolute favorite things to shoot is abandoned buildings. There's something so captivating about decay, cracked tiles, sunbeams sneaking through broken windows, vines creeping into forgotten classrooms. It's like stepping into a time capsule. Last fall, I got a tip from another urban explorer about an old elementary school set for demolition. It was in a rural town about an hour away from me. This place had been closed since the late 90s when funding got cut. Apparently, it hadn't been touched since then. No security, no alarms. Totally isolated. Perfect for a solo shoot. I rolled up around 4 p.m. The sun was low, casting a warm golden light through the trees. The place looked like a classic haunted schoolhouse. Red brick, tall weeds, and a rusty jungle gym out front. All the windows were intact but filthy. The double front doors were chained shut, but the side entrance was wide open. Inside, I was surprised to find everything pretty much intact. Desks still lined the classrooms. Faded crayon drawings curled up on corkboards. And there was a single child's shoe in the corner of the hallway, covered in dust. No graffiti, no trash, no signs of squatters. That really struck me. It felt like everyone just walked out one day and never looked back. As the sun dipped lower, the long hallways grew darker. My flashlight sliced through the gloom, bouncing off dusty linoleum and peeling paint. I wandered deeper into the building, snapping shots of lockers, torn bulletin boards, and desks with names still carved into the wood. Eventually, I made my way to the gymnasium. It was massive, the kind with wooden bleachers pulled out and basketball hoops still hanging, a little crooked. My boots echoed as I stepped inside. The sound was hollow and eerie. You could hear every creak of the floor, every scuff of your shoe, like it was amplified. To test the acoustics for a video shot, I cupped my hands around my mouth and shouted, "Hello!" My voice rang out, bouncing off the far wall. Then, after a moment, "Hello," came back. I smirked. The echo was clear. A perfect spot for some B-roll. Then I did something I'd done 100 times before. I shouted, "Is anybody here?" Silence. And then, from the opposite end of the gym, "Please don't go." I froze. It wasn't my voice. Same tone, same volume, but a totally different sentence. I spun around, sweeping my flashlight beam across the bleachers, the far door, the broken scoreboard. No one. It had come from straight ahead, the far wall, but there was nothing there. I stood there for what felt like a full minute, waiting for something. Another sound, footsteps, maybe even a laugh. Nothing. I told myself I'd misheard. Maybe I was tired. Maybe the echo twisted my words. But my gut didn't buy it. I turned to leave. But as I stepped into the hallway, I heard it again. Don't go. Stay. Right behind me. I didn't turn around. I walked fast, almost running, back toward the entrance hallway. That's when I realized something was off. The way out was gone. The hallway looked wrong. Same chipped tiles and lockers, but longer, deeper. No side doors. No exit signs. It was like the building had shifted. My flashlight flickered. The temperature dropped suddenly. My breath fogged in the air. I started walking faster, trying every classroom door I passed. All locked, every single one. Then I heard a voice again. My voice, but not mine. You shouldn't have come alone. It was said calmly, flat, like someone reciting a line they'd rehearsed. It came from inside one of the classrooms. One I just tried the handle on. Still locked. I backed away slowly, then broke into a run. I don't know how long I ran. Everything looked the same. Endless lockers. Cracked floors. I was panicking, shouting now. Let me out. And somewhere, faintly, from somewhere behind the walls, I heard it again. Let me in. That stopped me cold. I stood there, heart racing, flashlight beam shaking across the floor. Then a sound, scraping, like fingernails, or maybe something sharp, dragging slowly across the lockers beside me. Coming closer, I bolted. And just like that, I spotted the side exit again, the one I'd come in through, still open, still letting in the faint glow of the outside security light. I didn't stop running until I was in my car, doors locked, tires spinning on gravel. I never went back. But about a week later, while editing the photos I'd taken, I noticed something strange. Most of them were normal. Dusty desks, empty hallways, old posters. But the last photo in the set, the one I don't remember taking, was from the gymnasium. The camera had been pointed toward the far wall, and in the bleachers, just barely visible in the shadows, there was someone sitting there, still, facing the lens. And the caption underneath the photo, the file name auto-generated by my camera, simply read, DONT, go underscore 001.jpg. I didn't name it that. I never typed those words. And I haven't taken another photo since. The principal's office was still occupied. We thought the school was abandoned. But when the intercom called my friend's name, it pronounced it perfectly. Even the last name, no one ever gets right. I was 17 when my friend Ethan and I decided to sneak into the old Brookmore Elementary School. It had been shut down for over 20 years after a chemical leak in the basement supposedly made it unsafe. A few kids had gotten sick. One died, I think, and the whole place was sealed up. No demolition, just a chain-link fence and a keep-out sign that had long since faded. But we weren't exactly the type to listen to signs, especially when we heard the school was untouched inside. Desks still in place, chalk on the blackboards, even textbooks left open on their last page. Ethan brought bolt cutters. I brought my phone and a flashlight. We slipped in just after dark. The air inside felt stale, not just dusty, but heavy, like a place that hadn't breathed in decades. The halls were dead silent, except for the soft creak of our footsteps on tile and the occasional drip of water echoing somewhere in the walls. Lockers lined the hallway, some half open, revealing old jackets and crumpled papers. I found a torn book fair poster, still stuck to a bulletin board. We wandered past classrooms frozen in time, half-erased whiteboards, faded motivational posters, even one of those overhead projectors that probably hadn't worked since the 90s. It was creepy, yeah, but not terrifying. until we found the principal's office. The door was pristine, unlike everything else in the building, covered in graffiti, warped with age. This door looked like it had been cleaned recently. The nameplate still read, Mr. C. Hadley, Principal. Ethan glanced at me. You think it's open? I didn't answer, just turned the knob. It was open, and the office behind it looked like it was still in use. The blinds were drawn, but a small desk lamp cast a soft yellow glow across the room. Papers were stacked neatly. A mug full of pencils sat beside a nameplate on the desk. Behind it, a large filing cabinet stood shut, and above that, the school's intercom system was mounted high on the wall, the kind with a chunky black speaker and a single red light. But the weirdest part? There was a coat draped over the back of the principal's chair. A gray wool overcoat, dust-free, like someone had just stepped out for a moment and would be right back. I whispered, "This doesn't make sense." And then, just as Ethan stepped farther into the room, the intercom clicked. We both froze. The red light blinked on. "Good evening, students," a man's voice said, calm, slow, deliberate. "Please stand for afternoon announcements." The voice was crackly, mechanical, like an old recording, but the timing felt deliberate. Ethan looked at me, pale. "Today is Thursday, March 13th. He trailed off. That was today's date. I remember whispering, "There's no way. Attendance will now be taken." Ethan Myers. We both stopped breathing. That wasn't a common name, and the voice said it perfectly, like someone had been practicing. Ethan stepped back toward the door. Then the intercom said my name. First and last. I didn't even hear the rest. My heart was hammering so loud, I thought I'd pass out. We turned to run. That's when the door slammed shut behind us. We both screamed. Ethan yanked at the handle, locked. I rushed to the window, too small to fit through. And outside was pitch black now, like all the streetlights had gone out. "Tardiness will not be tolerated," the voice said. Then the filing cabinet behind us creaked open. Ethan turned and shone his light on it. Inside were files, neatly labeled folders. The first one read, Ethan Myers, Attendance Violations. He opened it. Inside were photos. Photos of us, standing outside the school, climbing the fence, walking the halls. Just minutes ago, I backed away. That's when I heard the chair behind the desk creak, ever so slightly, like someone had just sat down. But the chair was empty, still. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was in it, watching us. The intercom crackled again. "Detention begins at 3:15 sharp." I looked at the wall clock. It was 3:14. Seconds later, a desk lamp flickered out. Pitch black. Ethan screamed. I felt his hand grab mine, and we both lunged for the door. He kicked at it until something finally gave, and it burst open. We ran, didn't look back, didn't speak. We didn't stop until we were outside the school, panting under the stars, our breath fogging in the cold night air. But here's the part I still can't explain. When I checked my phone later, there was a new voice memo, one I hadn't recorded. I played it, the intercom voice, clearer this time. "Present," it said, then silence, then faintly, but not accounted for. I've never gone back. And sometimes, late at night, when everything's quiet, I swear I hear the intercom crackle.